right, we're doing it.
So we got a fight, and I threw him out of the house.
He said he shot himself, and I was in complete disbelief.
Find something that'll make you smile and laugh every day.
Seeing the mother and father holding the baby.
Enter as strangers.
How do you think the podcasts are going? We did our 10th podcast last Friday with Jim, which was a super popular podcast.
Yeah, no, it's blowing up. It's awesome.
It blew up fast.
Yeah. It's a great topic. Familiar topic.
Yeah, especially living around here.
Yeah.
It is for sure. But how do you think the podcast has been going so
No,
far? Have you been surprised? Have you been like at the response? Have you been like, it's not quite what I thought it would be, or what?
No, I mean, I've definitely been surprised and grateful at the response it's been given, you know, even on the small scale it is. A lot of people had a lot of nice things to say so far. And I, you know, like I said earlier, we were talking, you know, I look forward to them. I enjoy them. They're very enjoyable for me.
Yeah, and even the ones that it's just me and you.
Yeah.
I like to do. And I had somebody tell me, in full disclosure, it was actually Jim, before he did the podcast. He's
right.
like, I love the podcast. You know, he's like, I enjoy the ones with your guests more.
Sure.
You know, and I said, well, yeah. I'm like, hopefully we'll get better. But, you know, a lot of people listen to the ones that's just me and you.
Yeah.
And I think it's that whole fly on the wall thing. I enjoy listening to podcasts like that.
Right.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, the response that some of our guests have gotten, like Brody,
right,
and Jim, and a few others, has been really good.
Directly from...
Yeah, like directly, you know, when the thing gets posted or
right.
whatever, someone will reach out to them and say, I really enjoyed your story or whatever. So it's gone better, honestly, than I thought it was going to.
Oh, far, in my opinion, too.
And what are you quantifying better as? Like the number of people listening?
No, I'm quantifying it as just the overall response from friends and family. And
so the feedback has been greater.
Like, you know, we talked about this in the number one. Like, something like this is completely out of my comfort zone in Wheelhouse, typically. But it's been fun to, you know, share it with people and be like, here, you know, listen, or if you get a chance, whatever, you know, honest feedback. We want to know, you know, honest feedback and so on. And people have actually dug in and they've listened to multiples, or, you know, it's been kind of cool.
Yeah, it's been really cool.
Tell your friends and family. Spread it.
Enter as strangers. I think that it's been kind of surprising to me that, you know, it's like you said the other night, you know, we were talking about how to get more people to listen. And it's just one of those things that, you know, it's organic. The thing about having more people interact and having different guests on is it's kind of what we talked about in the first episode, or at least I know I did, that I can't really put my finger on, but there's something in stories from people that connects with other people.
Yeah.
But there's something in the more people that listen, it's like it creates this little, I don't know if it creates this little world or whatever, but like the way people interact. Like I've had an old friend of mine that I grew up with, you know, as a teenager, went to high school with, who we used to hang out with all the time. And, you know, we're Facebook friends, but we don't ever talk on Facebook or anything. And he knew Jim as well and posts the podcast, and he, you know, comments on it because, you know, he's like, I'm having trouble getting it to play. You know, is there anywhere else I can listen? So I, you know, send him a link where he could listen. But he's like, I really want to listen to this. He's told me in a private message, he's like, I've been listening to your other ones, you know, and then when Jim came on, I'm like, oh, somebody I know, you know. So it was really,
so he had been listening to ones previously,
been listening to him
before he knew Jim was on.
You know, you invite you. It's on
Facebook,
you
send your invites out for sure.
People see it, but you never know who listens.
No,
but yeah, people are kind of coming out of the woodwork, old coworkers and stuff like that.
That's awesome, man.
Which that's what I'm saying.
So cool.
It's like for me personally, it's like making contact with people in my circles.
It's the whole
already.
idea behind the podcast to begin with, you know, reaching out, creating more connections, creating more friendships,
recreating.
Yeah, that too. Yeah, reconnecting.
I mean, have you had anybody that's come from your past and said anything?
You know, not too far back, but like we were talking, I'm sorry. I just call her Pee Wee. I always have since I was a little kid.
Yeah.
Her name's Marnette. But we've been talking and stuff, and she got turned on to him and enjoys. She's sending a bunch of feedback back about loving her morning coffee and listening to the podcast. And so yeah, I mean, reconnected way far back to even more recent high school friends you kind of lose touch with along the way. Life happens and so on, and them reaching out or saying something, and it's been really cool. Appreciate it all.
Yeah, so thanks to everybody that
Super
listens,
grateful.
because we are super grateful. And again, I've had people reach out to me about doing the podcast, and hopefully if all goes well, at the end of the week, we'll have our middle brother on. And he reached out and said,
The middleman.
He reached out and said he'd do the podcast, which is super surprising.
Yeah, very,
because
very
he's
surprising.
pretty private.
Yeah.
Guy stays in the shadows,
Yeah.
so to speak.
Yeah.
So, but I was super surprised, which tells me that it's like in all honesty, Jim, I don't think he'd mind me saying, but he was one of the first people we thought of to do the podcast just because he had a story to tell.
And it was fresh and recent.
Yeah. And I reached out to him about doing it, and he kind of danced around giving me an answer, and then initially said no. He's like, I'm not comfortable doing it.
Right.
And then for him to come back, and then he listened to the podcasts that we had, and he decided, oh yeah, I can do this. And so I think it was,
that's awesome.
I think he was more nervous.
Yeah,
than
for sure.
We could tell because, I think it was probably something that was hard for him to really open up about.
Oh yeah. You could tell it was.
Yeah. Yeah.
You could definitely tell it was.
I mean, so that's what's cool is when someone's listening and then they go, okay, I get what it's like or what it's about.
No, I mean, it may sound silly, I guess, because of just the scale right now. But I can see, me personally, I can speak for me personally, and I feel like some of the guests, like even possibly Jim, there's almost this therapeutic feel to it.
Yeah.
Being able
he
to talk and get your story out.
Yeah, he said that to me. He said it's therapeutic, so, which is great.
Yeah, no, awesome. Cool. Job well done as far as I'm concerned. Then if people feel that way and it helps even them individually, awesome.
What are there any specific topics that you've been thinking about, when it comes to having someone in here to talk about something? Is there anything specific that you're...
No, I'm just honestly jazzed about all of it. I've got a friend whose mom is a psychic medium, and maybe one day she might come on. I think that would be amazing.
A medium, yeah. That would be interesting.
And even just to, some old friends, some really funny ones even that aren't, necessarily hard topics and so on. All of them.
No, you just have people on. Yeah.
Awesome.
I was thinking about having a medium on, this lady you're talking about, who apparently...
Well, if she plays her cards right. Just kidding.
Oh.
Just kidding.
If the medium...
Right.
Yeah. If she plays her cards right. But I was thinking about it, and you know what? I was thinking, what would I want to hear? Because I've heard doing paranormal stuff in the past. I've listened to plenty of stuff with mediums, and you see enough stuff on TV and stuff, and I've known a couple, and I have different opinions depending. But I want to get her in here, and I was thinking, what would I want to know about it from a listening point of view, which is essentially what we do here.
Right.
But what I want to figure out is I want as clear of an answer as I can get on, and I know mediums are all different. So however she does it, right? When she's like, when she's like, oh, the spirit said this, or however she,
right,
structures it. Mm-hmm. How do you see it? Do you actually see it? Is it a feeling? And describe that as best as you can. Right. Because I've always you hear a medium talk and they're like, blah, 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 blah. Okay, but what does it look like to you? When you say you see it, but it's such a perspective thing.
Yeah, it is.
Because you see visuals in your mind's eye, right?
Yeah.
Of stuff. I just, how it works.
I don't know. I think it's a untapped potential probably in everybody, honestly. What is it? Your eyes can see 8 million bits of information per second, but your brain can only process, 500,000 bits or something. Right. So the idea that you are seeing things that your brain isn't truly registering,
Right.
Because it doesn't have the computing power. But I could see, some people's brain, that part of their brain or whatever, having a little being unlocked, and
Well, it's like
who knows?
it's like it's a signal, right? And certain people just
have that pathway.
their signal, filter is just a little bit different, so different things get in, which kind of makes sense because if you think about
sure.
other things like common sense and how some people just don't have common sense because it's like in the same idea. Does that mechanism work the same as like a psychic? If it's all the signal that we're bringing in, I don't know. But anyway, I thought, tell me how you experience it.
That would be interesting to know.
Yeah,
For sure.
is it just a feeling or whatever? But
Right.
yeah, having all kinds of different people on here. I'd like to get some people in here that are, I'd like to get a police officer in here,
That would be pretty cool.
right? And like talk real and be like, hey, dude, come on.
You got to get a retired cop to do that.
Do you? Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. Now we'll just convince them. What, dude? This is a 11 episode, 12 episode podcast. No one hears this. We just get them to open up.
The world's as big as it is such a small place.
No, I
You
know.
find out,
I know. But just professionals like that, right?
No, it'd be awesome.
To hear from different, like you have a friend's dad who's a retired pilot,
Yeah.
right? That would be an Air Force pilot,
Yeah.
that would be, and commercial, but that would be awesome to hear him talk,
Yep.
just all over the board.
Yeah, whatever. Any story is cool with me.
Yeah.
Bring it in.
I want to get Brandon in here, that special forces guy. I
Right.
bet he's got some killer stories.
Oh, well, for sure.
Yeah. It's just fun. It's fun to listen to people tell their story in this kind of format.
It's very enjoyable, like for me, and you'll notice through podcasts I get pretty quiet and don't engage as much because I am seriously enthralled with what they're saying, and I'm just trying to put myself in their perspective and feel their story. And
I need to do a better job of that. I've had constructive criticism that I talk too much. Oh. But what's weird is I get lost in it.
but that's okay.
I get lost in it. So it's not that I don't think I'm trying to interject my point and stuff, but I just get lost in the conversation. So when I think of things, that's how I talk in normal life too. I just ramble. So, but yeah, you're right. It's one of those things where
It's awesome.
you got to
It's
learn
fun.
to listen too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do walk out of here personally for me, like with Jim and Andy and so on and everybody.
Yeah.
I do feel like I walk out of here with a little bit closer bond with that person.
Yeah.
In I don't know how to explain it other than that, but I seriously do, and that's amazing to me. That's fun. That's for me what it was all about to begin with.
Yeah. You get a little bit different perspective about the person.
Yeah.
Which is exactly what we're after.
Yep.
And again, it's like to be honest with you, what's really cool about it right now is that the people that are listening are people we know, or they're two people removed from who we know, right? And so a lot of the majority of who's listening is people we know.
Yeah.
Right. And so those people get to hear something about someone who might be just one person removed from them.
They all kind of fall within the same ecosphere in a way.
Yeah, in a weird way, which I think is what kind of is cool about podcasts in general. Is when you're listening to podcasts. It's one of my favorite things when I'm listening to a podcast and they say something that I totally can relate to, or I know exactly what they're talking about.
Yeah. You mentioned a minute ago about it allows you to get a different perspective of these people. And on the flip side, it allows you to get a different perspective on yourself, too, and your own shit.
Yeah.
Like, Brody stepped into my office. I don't think he mind me saying anything. He stepped into my office the other day at work, and he's like, I was just driving listening to Andy's episode. I'm like, oh, yeah, good, huh? And he's like, dude, the fuck are any of us complaining about anything for? We got nothing to complain about.
I know.
And so that, helped change his perspective on his personal thoughts and,
Yeah.
pretty cool.
That is.
You ask me.
That's a good point. That's a really good point. Yeah, I didn't even think about that. Because you do, for us and then someone who's listening.
Hopefully more that than the other, in my opinion.
Right.
Hopefully there's more of that where you're going, damn, I got nothing. Or, you can bring it back to yourself in a way.
I think one of the simplest things that is enjoyable to me as being here and then listening, of other podcasts is just the information. It's like you're just listening to an average everyday person who doesn't think they have a story to tell, and you hear them say something about an experience they've had, and you're like, oh, I didn't know that. Just that simple, all that, hearing that, oh, I didn't know that. It's like with Cammie. Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's news to me. That's happened in every single podcast.
Well, and that's I think the trick our own minds play on us sometimes. I bet a lot of people go, oh, I don't have anything interesting to say. Why would I be a guest?
Right.
But you do. Because your perspective is different regardless of what it is. And someone else is going to go, whoa. And you're going to, everyone does.
Everyone has a story.
Has something to say. Even if you don't think you do, it's worth it.
Yeah. Everyone has a story. Mm-hmm. What's interesting about something you were just saying is how, like, when Brody came in and said, what we don't have anything to complain about. Mm-hmm. But what's weird is like just the process of suffering and what a human can get used to in their life. It could be like a low grade suffering, something that's going on, but it's just been something you're dealing with forever, and it just slowly eats at you. It's like if you took Andy, right, and you could switch perspectives with him, and then you could instantly know what it was like to go through all of that stuff, and those emotions hit you like in a moment.
Right.
You'd be like, oh my God, this is, I can't even imagine. But honestly, if he flipped shoes with you and went through something you went through, a heartbreak or whatever, and was flooded with that emotion, he'd probably be like, fuck that. I would never want to go through that. You know what I mean?
No, for sure. No, the duality of it's amazing. Cool, because it can. It again, it's just a perspective thing.
And if you've never experienced perspective.
Yeah. I mean, it would make you feel or prompt those crazy emotions going, whoa.
Yeah. It's just something I was thinking about when you brought up that thing with Brody. But because what's funny is he has a crazy, amazing story. There's so much more to it than he even told us.
Yeah, for sure.
And he's over here going, but Andy would probably be like, dude, I can't imagine.
No, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure. It's so true.
Yeah. Which is cool. That's what kind of, like you're saying, that's what exposes the perspective to other people.
No, and it's awesome to get that small bits of feedback back and forth,
Yeah.
It's really cool, and
yeah,
I'm happy with it. I'm excited. Just move forward, excited what it comes to be.
I know. I legitimately get excited for the next guest.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Me too. And I can't,
even though it's been people I've known for a long time.
Well, and that's the point, even those people have that story, and they're still awesome stories for everybody else, but eventually that ecosphere will grow, hopefully. Yeah. And, we'll make more contacts and have more contacts at different guests and branch it out, people where we don't know anymore. And it's even just as fresh for us. We've got no interpretation of the story or no perspective on it to begin with.
One thing I wanted to say, because what you were saying just made me think of it, is for anyone listening, if you do listen via, because we post everything to SoundCloud, that's what feeds all of our feeds. But if you do listen via the SoundCloud app, you can leave a comment just by pressing the comment button, right? Or you can do it on the website too, and it will actually leave a comment at the marker in the sound file where you
had a question or
click to leave the comment.
Right.
So if you're listening to the podcast and you have something to interject or you have a question, it will, and you just click it and write it as you're listening, it'll mark that spot. So we're able to look at it and go, here's exactly what we were talking about. But I think it'd be a cool idea is if people that are listening engage like that, right? Is that we can come back, and if someone has a question or they had something to insert, or maybe we said something that was wrong, right?
Sure.
We could come back and kind of
call us out.
Yeah, we can kind of go back and kind of address
That's a cool
those.
Feature. That's an awesome feature to have.
Well, someone did it, and they're like, they just made a complimentary comment right there or whatever, but yeah, it is a pretty cool feature, and I just thought it'd be cool to interact with people that way.
Yeah. I mean, the more interaction, the better. That's, again, at the end of the day, what it's all about.
Yeah, so here's the thing. Here's an idea, since we're on the topic of podcasts, that Bill had for podcasts. So I know that a lot of family listens to the podcast, and we have apparently a family reunion coming up sometime next year in the summer, I think.
Don't ask me.
Yeah, don't ask me.
I'll get
either.
the information a week before it happens.
I know.
So,
but Bill suggested bring the podcasting gear and
Hell yeah.
And have podcasts, multiple podcasts with different individuals.
Absolutely.
In the family.
Yeah. Why not?
That's a cool idea.
Yeah. I mean, these are even our own, as we've experienced, our own family.
Yeah.
We don't know half of their stories. They know they've got good stories. So.
No, and we could do a little homework beforehand.
Yeah.
And then pick, because you obviously can't have everybody.
The nice thing is now you've got all the information. You've got both sides of the story in a way. If it is a story, so you can pin them against each other. Well,
yeah, that's like
I don't know.
That's like
Bill says this, Spencer,
and the fire starting story.
Yeah.
And I think it'd be super entertaining, actually.
It'd be pretty comical.
Well, this is what's funny. Okay, today, Mom says to me, she's like, "Oh, Pam was telling me this funny story that Jenny, her one daughter, said, remember when we were in Mexico and Harmony started panicking and drowning and climbed on top of me and almost drowned me?" Right? That's what she says. And literally the next day, talking about coincidence, Harmony, the other daughter, says, "Hey, remember in Mexico when Jenny was panicking and she was climbing on me in the ocean and I couldn't, she's drowning me." Right. So Mom tells me this and I look at her and I go, and Mom was like, "You were right there, weren't you?" And I said, "Yeah." And they're both wrong. It was Jenny freaking out and she was climbing on me and I was trying to hold her over the water and she was drowning me because she was in total freak out mode.
Are you sure though? Like, we talked about this before, and
I'm pretty sure.
Memory's kind of flawed. We tend to put ourselves in that.
I'm pretty sure. I know that they listen to the podcast from time to time, both of them, and so I'm pretty sure, guys.
You're gonna start it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that my version is the accurate version. So, but you never know.
You're being called out now.
I know. You never know, though. But that's what's funny about having people that have experienced the same thing on.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure that there's a million situations you and I we were both at. We'd probably disagree on.
Yeah, I'm sure.
But
it's just the way it works.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Or you get two people on at the same time.
Yeah.
To discuss something.
No, I think that'd be a blast to take it on the road and to a family reunion. I'd have so much fun.
Honestly, you know what? It's our family, so it'd be interesting to me, but think about that. That's something everyone should do.
Absolutely.
You're at a family reunion. Our family reunions are usually a week long-ish, and people come and go as they can based on schedules. But, the last one I think I was there for 5 days.
Yeah.
Right? So the idea that you have a table like this set up, right? And then people can go in and just for posterity can record conversations and stuff like that. Not even necessarily in podcast form. That's kind of a smart idea.
So when you want to argue with your significant other, we're going to take this down to the table.
We're going to take this down to the
table.
Let's
go. And put some headphones on.
Oh, man. It's funny because
record that shit forever.
Because you know how family reunions are, right?
Oh, yeah.
And this is not unique to us. This is every family. There's those different dynamics of relationships, and there's those certain conversations that with Uncle so-and-so, you just don't get into a conversation, right? one time we're up in Eden at a reunion, and I can't remember what we were doing. We were just kind of hanging out, and Bill and I were hanging out, and we were over by two of his older brothers. And somehow the subject of the Bible comes up, okay?
Boy.
And I know Bill's opinion on the Bible and God and stuff like that, and I'm in pretty much alignment with the way he thinks.
Right.
But his two older brothers are born again Christians, and that conversation starts, and Bill starts putting in his 2 cents, right? And I just walk away, and he doesn't know I walked away. But 20 minutes later, he finds me somewhere else. He's like, "Dude, what the fuck, man?" He's like, "I thought you had my back." And I turn around and you're gone, and now I'm sitting here arguing with two, But yeah, that's why family reunions are so.
Well, even at the aspect of this is your family, and you have different relationship with different of them, of course.
Yeah.
But getting to know them better, why not know your own family better in a way?
Yeah, why not?
It's weird that.
Well, and especially in that context, you think about let's say you have 4 or 5 different guests on during a family reunion, okay? And you learn a lot about them, but then the rest of the family listens to it, and they get a new perspective about
Absolutely.
A brother-in-law,
Yep.
a sister-in-law, an aunt, an uncle, a cousin,
Yep. For sure. That's the beauty.
Let's do it.
Yeah, absolutely. You won't get no hesitation from me on it.
Let's create a buzz.
You hear that, family? We're coming for you.
We're coming for you. People will be clawing over to do the podcast. Well, you for sure would have grandma on,
Yeah.
right?
No, I mean, if
Have her
anyone.
on anyway. Dude, tell her story, 10 kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's got the stories. She is the story.
She's the story, dude. That would be phenomenal.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're for sure doing that. That's what's kind of cool about, I don't know, if you keep it simple and just do whatever, you just people is what it is. Do you think, how do you feel about the timing, like as far as time frame of the podcast?
The structure we've had?
The length of them.
Well, again, this would be good feedback from listeners if they got any, but I feel like, I don't know, I'm never a fan of short podcasts. I don't think it gives you enough time to engage and really alter a perspective.
Right.
I think kind of where we've been floating, an hour 20, hour 30, is a good range. Yeah. I mean, even if I get closer to 2, I'm okay with that because, again, for me, I like longer podcasts. I really get engaged in them, but I think it's good.
I've had people come up to me and say, I started listening to that one, but I can only listen for about 25 minutes at a time, which is good. It's not ideal. And some people think that, I've had other people comment, especially older people, that, an hour is a long time. But that doesn't matter in my mind, because that's at least how long it takes to get into getting to know somebody. If you're sitting down across from them and they've got a story.
I mean, invest the time. It's an hour.
Yeah. Just listen.
And you're just listening. I mean, you got an hour, you could be listening.
Yeah. I mean,
people spend hours and hours and hours a day just listening to music.
I know they do. We've talked about the podcast for quite a while.
Have we?
Yeah. I mean, I guess. I don't know. You're reading a new book, and surprisingly, it's got another big swear word in it.
So the last book you read lately
was given, what was it?
The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck.
The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck, and this one is
Unfuck Yourself.
Unfuck Yourself, which is very popular right now.
It is.
And he's by a Scottish author.
Yes, I do believe that.
Yeah, he does the Audible, book on tape.
Oh, right.
Recording of his voice.
Right.
And it's really engaging.
Accents are that way for me too. Like, I don't know what it is with an accent, but I get engaged to those.
Okay, hand me that book.
All right,
hand me that book. So, since we don't have a video feed, for those of you listening, I'm going to describe the cover to you. I'm going to just describe the word. There's a picture on there, but it's the words. So the book is called Unfuck Yourself, and unfuck is with no spacing between them. UN in bold letters. FU asterisk K, okay? And then yourself is down below it. So it's Unfuck Yourself. But the C in fuck is an asterisk. Why do they do that? Is that a publisher thing where they go, we can't put that? Everybody knows what you're talking about.
No, I think it is.
I mean, we're guilty of it. I did it
for sure.
I did it on the podcast listing. But why not just put the C in there? Are we acting like children?
I'm sure it's some type of rule. I'm willing to bet censorship
in publishing.
Yeah, being on a shelf in public view or something. I don't know. I don't know the rules to this, but I'm just
it's just a weird concept, because anyone that reads that knows what that word is.
Well, it's just like any Mormon walking down the street saying frick and frack. Like, we know what you mean. You just say the word.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, right?
Language is funny that way, especially when you grow up Mormon, you're encouraged not to swear. And it's a pretty big deal, like when you're a kid, which I think for most kids, it's a big deal.
Yeah.
But they show that kids that grow up around swearing, where it's not something that's condemned to that degree, are more well-adjusted in life than people that grow up without hearing or being allowed, or it's very taboo to swear.
I mean, you're not getting away from the world. I think it just better prepares you in a way.
Well, what's weird is, like, from doing like trade shows, right? We'll be here in Utah doing a trade show, and we live here and have lived here for years, so you get used to the vernacular, how people talk, what's okay to say and what's okay not to say. But we go do a show in Southern California, and it's totally different. I remember the first one we're down there, Bill's like, dude, just talk to these people like you talk to me, swear, use curse words because that's how they talk. Everyone talks that way.
It's true.
They don't hesitate to say fuck. You're not going to, you could be at a show in Salt Lake and talk to 300 people and not a single one of them will say, the F word.
Yeah.
But you go to Southern California and you'd be hard pressed to find 10 people that didn't say it.
Right.
In
I mean,
talking
there's
to them.
definitely a line to this, by the way.
Oh,
For
no,
me,
there
at
is.
least. Like,
There is.
There's some sailors out there that
there's-
just got it.
Yeah.
Every other word, and
Yeah.
it's pretty bad. Like there's a grotesque side of it at some point.
For sure. I mean, there's definitely an intelligent way to use swear words, So anyway, the book, Unfuck Yourself, who's it by?
Gary John Bishop.
Is it good?
I just picked it up yesterday, and I've only gotten about 3 chapters deep. But it is really good. It's a lot so far about, again, what you just kind of mentioned, language, and the language we use to describe our experiences and how that affects our reality and the way we feel about them. And so far, a lot about that, that negative self-talk we all engage in.
Right.
And the true detriment, how truly detrimental it can be to
Well,
our perspectives in reality.
we've talked about this before, but every now and then I'll throw in a, motivational whatever in the morning when I'm getting ready, just because I like them. They're done well and mixed well. But I heard one today that was filled with, good one-liners and stuff. But there's one liner one-liner that I thought was really just caught me, which was this: is that attitude is everything. I was talking about attitude, right? And a bad attitude will bring you a below average life, and a good attitude will bring you an above average life. And it's so true.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
Right? So it's just your attitude dictates everything. Even when you're, I don't know, whatever it is, you blow a tire or whatever. I mean, the experience you have, the attitude you take can make either just be an experience or make it something that you think about over and over, that you're pissed off about for days or weeks or whatever.
Again, like you said, it comes down to attitude and
language, like you
language,
say.
and your attitude is you. It's like in here, Gary says, a simple way that I reframe my own everyday quote unquote problems is he starts relating them to opportunities instead. Instead of this being a problem, now he's changed the language in his head to say, well, this opportunity, and it immediately has a shift in power. At that point, you know, in my belief as well, and they become items to foster growth,
right?
And again, that's just an attitude adjustment. That's just looking at it instead of problems.
That's like
looking
that
as opportunities.
That's like that Jocko Willink good,
right?
Audio file,
right? Yep, exactly.
So listen, I wish we had a good way to play it on the mics here, but it's not quite set up to do that. So if you're listening to this and you want to be motivated, go on YouTube and search Jocko Willink. It's Jocko Willink, and then just put the word good after it. And there's a little audio video clip that is super motivational. Just gets right down to it.
Yeah.
But the basic premise is that anytime there's a complaint or anytime there's something that's wrong, if you respond with the word good, it's like, didn't get the job you wanted, good. More time to prepare, more time to get better, right? That's a direct quote from there, but it's true, man.
No, there is. I've been watching.
That's what he's saying right there in that
exactly.
book.
And I've been watching some other clips on YouTube and in programs and so on lately, and same exact thing, just different verbiage, But the idea that, not to resist the feelings and resist your emotions and the experiences you're having, but to allow them to be, obviously, and even if they're bad. And I love you.
Oh yeah.
And I love that.
Yeah.
This makes me feel this way, and I love it.
That's the
bringing the acceptance to it in a way, and allowing it to flow instead of trying to pinch it down and hold it in. And
that's the whole nurturing the ego.
Right.
Right. All those things like that. If you treat them like they're an infant, right? You're not gonna. Well, maybe, but you're not gonna get angry at an infant for crying because it's hungry, right? Or at least you shouldn't, because it's just doing what it's supposed to do.
Yeah.
So if you treat your ego or those moments like that, where you're like those emotions. I hear what you're saying. Okay. All right. Calm down, like you would with a child.
Sure. I mean, dumb it down.
Yeah. I mean, dumb it down, you idiot.
We make things way too complicated.
Oh, way too complicated. One thing I noticed I've been trying to do lately, because I've got a lot going on in life. There's a lot of stressors and things like that. And so even when I'm like at home and there's not really anything to be overly worked up about or whatever, I still kind of feel this low grade, like,
angst.
Yeah, this angst of like, okay, get this done, got to do this, get this. I mean, and I notice it the most, or it catches me the most when I'm in the kitchen and I'm making some food or something. So let's say I'm hungry, right? So I'm cooking some dinner up. I have this instant reflex where I'm like, okay, faster, right? And then I'll catch myself going, whoa, why? I'm not in a hurry. So just intentionally trying to slow down and be like, this is just what I'm doing right now. That's a whole art of doing thing. But
I think in everyday life we should be able to slow down a little, or need to.
It's so cathartic when I find myself in that mode. This is going to sound ridiculous, but this just shows you more of, people want to say they want to get to know us better. Well, here's getting to know me. I have this very weird thing. I don't know where it comes from. Okay. When I make a sandwich, all right, making a sandwich to me, there's always this angst in making a sandwich. It's like, got to get the mayonnaise on. Did I squirt enough mayonnaise on the bread? Got to put the meat on. Got to put the cheese on. I just want to get it done. I try to rush making a sandwich.
What?
I know. I told you it sounds crazy.
What
right?
is wrong with you? It's a sandwich.
Well, do you have anything? What my point is whatever it is there anything that you just like, you do? Maybe it's brushing your teeth. Do you like to brush your teeth? Like, do you enjoy brushing your teeth?
Well, I mean, I don't sit there going, "Oh my god, I love this. This is amazing," or nothing. But it's just another.
It's something you got to get done.
It's just another thing, yeah. But I'm not rushed in any ways. But I do understand what you're saying. I mean, there's plenty of times I kind of had this conversation today with a friend that I'm just feeling overstacked with the minute tasks of this week and the month and what this month entails and so on. But so I do understand when you almost have that moment of stillness in a way, feeling that angst, like, oh shit, I should be getting something done right now because I was feeling a little stressed out or something, and there's something to do, instead of allowing the space and just slow the hell down for a minute and meditate.
Let me just state that, so I don't sound like a total crazy. It's really not about the sandwich. It's about food. I do it. I've noticed I'll do it with food. Really? Like, I have this thing, and it probably obviously widens out to, just a feed me kind of thing. It's like, I gotta eat. It's the same idea of people that eat really fast. That will just scarf a meal down, and the difference between that person and the person that will
take their time,
and then the person will take way too long to eat. You know what I mean? It's finding that balance.
Yeah.
So you don't have anything like that?
Nothing specific, just in general. Yeah, no, just tasks in general sometimes.
Isn't it weird how different people are?
Yeah, people are way different.
That's what I'm saying. Like, because it's the podcast, that sounds crazy what I just said. Like you said, what the fuck is wrong with you?
It is crazy.
But dude, that's how we all are. What, you name it. These things that we think about in our head.
Oh yeah, right? No, I mean, what do they say? They say on average you have 50,000 thoughts a day.
I have no idea.
No, that's what they say. Trust me.
Okay.
Just take my word for it.
All right.
But that's a lot of freaking thoughts. I mean, that's
and some of them are crazy as fuck. Dude.
Most of them are crazy. Most of them are negative crap.
Someone said once that, like, the difference between someone you would consider having a multiple personality disorder, and a person that's not have one, is that the person who does is just vocalizing verbally, right, what both voices in their head,
which both
and that's a fine line, because we do the same thing. We just have that thing that says don't do it in front of people, don't do it. Do you talk to yourself?
Yeah,
when you're alone?
Oh yeah, don't worry, you're not alone.
No, everyone does. Everyone does. I was just wondering.
I find it helpful.
My kids make fun of me for doing it.
I think
I talk through doing things. All right,
yeah.
so I just need to take this, put it over here.
No,
You're like,
I
"What are
mean,
you
I
doing?"
think there's an actual scientific thing that helps the brain keep it organized or whatever. I mean, for me, I find it more therapeutic. It's like instead of always being trapped up in your mind and just the thoughts and the voice you hear in your own head, get it out.
Yeah.
Out into the universe, release it.
Yeah, that's actually probably a great point, actually. That is a big help. Well, it's verbalizing things.
Yeah, or it's like writing it down, Write down what you're feeling instead of just internalizing everything.
That goes the other way, though, too. Again, now we're back to the book. The way you speak has an effect on you. This is something that's interesting to that regard. Do you know, like when you're a teenager or a preteen or whatever, and a new concept comes across you or something, and it might be something you kind of fixate on for a while and go, oh, that's weird that I do that. Like, is that normal? That whole is that normal thing as you're learning who you are. Well, as an adult, you just have done something for so long. But Layla was talking to me the other day, and she's like, I might be crazy. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm like, well, you're your mother's daughter, so you're definitely crazy. I'm just kidding. But she's like, because when I'm by myself, like there's two voices. I'm like, I'm pretty sure that's pretty normal. And she's like, well, I'll ask a question and then I'll answer myself. I'm like, that's definitely normal. Or I do that, right? Where you actually be like, well, wonder what that blah, blah, blah. And then you answer the question like, oh, that's this.
Right.
You do that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, on occasion. I mean, I'm not walking around talking to myself crazy like all day long.
Not crazy, but this would that. We should name this podcast, Do You Do That? And we'll just have people come in and tell us the crazy thoughts they have and see if
No, don't. I don't want to know what goes through some people's brains.
Scary,
I know
man.
it goes through mine.
Yeah.
That's scary enough.
That's what I mean. We're all walking around here having the craziest thoughts, right? But we just go along like everything's okay.
Now, I bet 90% of them we're not even really fully conscious of or
I'm
aware
sure
that
not.
we're having. Because if you did, you'd probably lose your mind for real.
What were you saying? They say that some god-awful amount of your decisions are unconscious.
I read somewhere that only about 2% of your decisions and so on and conditioning is done through a conscious mind.
And that the rest is
coming from your subconscious. It's just, it's buried so deep.
So a plain example of that is like breathing. Breathing is an
Right.
unconscious decision.
Right. Yeah.
You just do it.
You just do it.
And that's a very base level.
And our thoughts are a lot like that.
Right.
You just do them.
Yeah.
To know conscious knowledge of yourself sometimes. Most of the time, obviously. Crazy, right?
That's a crazy statistic. If that's accurate, I mean, that you're like really thinking about something here.
Yeah, for sure. And you can, I've done a little bit of reading on it so far, not a ton, but you can retrain even your subconscious through consciousness and through,
Right.
and they've got, we talked about it. I don't know. I got no way to test it, but the whole subliminal messaging,
Right.
through
Audio tracks
and stuff to
Right.
help reprogram your subconscious mind. That shit could just be a track of music.
Yeah.
You ain't ever known.
Yeah.
But or a placebo effect.
Right.
Who knows?
Right.
But
There's some dude in his basement just laughing because he's got 1 million downloads and there's nothing in it.
Yeah.
But does it work?
Why are you asking me?
Because you listening to him.
Oh no.
The subliminal messaging
I've just
doesn't
been
work.
no. I mean, they might work. We'll find out. I'm sure it takes time to retrain your
Right.
subconscious, but I listen to them in my sleep pad pillow at night.
And this is
as
a
I'm falling
pillow
asleep.
for people that don't know that it's ultrasonic sound.
I believe so.
And ultrasonic sound is vibration based. It's such a high frequency that so you don't hear it until your head is on the pillow because your ear canal and all that pick up the vibration.
Yeah, I mean, if you pick your head up off the pillow at all, you don't hear the sound when you lay it down.
So the person next to you doesn't hear the music.
Right.
You just plug in an audio.
And it doesn't play it does, but because the nature of the speakers, like if you're jamming tunes or something, you're losing a lot of sound quality and stuff. But if you're playing tones
But that's not what it's for.
No, I play a lot of, their nature sounds, rain,
Yeah, of course.
thunderstorms, stuff like that.
Of course.
Dude, they're so relaxing, and I'm out like a baby.
Dude, rain on a tent. It's
Yeah.
one of my favorite things to listen to if I'm having trouble falling asleep.
Yeah. This new one, though, is really good because it's one of those subliminal messaging ones, and it's only a 12-minute track. And I'm pretty sure I'm out before the track's over every time because I don't remember it ending any time. And normally I set the old ones for an hour, and sometimes I wouldn't be even asleep by then, and I'd have to restart a track or something. But this one's 12 minutes, and the last week or so, I don't.
Well, you can
I'm out.
you can train your brain to fall asleep. I mean, you create these patterns of things, right? Like I used to just nerd out at playing solitaire on my phone, okay? And I would normally just play it before I went to bed. As I was laying in bed, I'd play some solitaire and inevitably fall asleep. Get too tired to keep my eyes open and fall asleep. But what I realized was happening, I was doing that so much that I might be sitting in the car waiting for somebody or do whatever, and I'll start playing solitaire, and I start to fall asleep.
Yeah.
I'd start to fall asleep in the middle of the day playing the game.
Yeah.
So you can kind of train and you can do that with certain musics and repetitive, like you're saying.
Absolutely.
Do you prefer one kind of nature sound to the other?
No, variety's the spice of life. I like to mix it up. Go from, ocean waves and seagulls and yada yada, the whole ocean scheme to the rainforest to, thunderstorm.
I can't do ocean for some reason.
Really?
Yeah, it's
Ocean's
weird.
all right. The thunderstorm one was hard to get used to because all of a sudden there's a crack of lightning or something, and as you're falling asleep trying to stay calm, that almost kind of jarred me for a minute and it was almost too anxious to listen to it.
Do you ever get in that state where you've kind of dozed off and come back into it and it seems very real, where you think it might be raining just for that brief fraction of a second?
Nope, that's never happened to me yet.
That happens to me all the time. In the tent one, because here's the thing, rain on a tent, right, from doing a lot of camping and stuff like that, is a very relaxing, it's got a
soothing,
super emotional kind of soothing experience for me because I've been in that real environment. So sometimes when I fall asleep to rain on a tent, and I'll come back to a little bit of consciousness and for half a second be like, where you don't feel the earbuds in your ears or anything like that, and be like, I'm just listening to something. But I think that's why it works. I want one of those pillows.
That's why I need to get one, because earphones or earbuds in when you're get out of here. It's so uncomfortable.
Yeah, so like when you're listening to that, I mean, you roll over or whatever, and
it's got its zones for the most part, right? So if I lay on my left side or my right side, usually that ear is right on top of one of those pads. And I'm a back sleeper. You
don't hear it as well on your back.
You don't hear it as well on your back, but I kind of like it. But you do hear it good enough, but not as well for sure. But I like that because I'll lay on my ear and get tired listening to it, and then when I roll over at that point, it's just I'm out anyways. So
yeah,
whatever.
You fall asleep pretty quick.
I have been lately.
Yeah. Don't jinx yourself.
Nah.
I hate when you can't sleep.
Don't worry.
Not you?
Mm-mm.
You know what's funny is, like, I think there's two kinds of people in this regard, and I could be totally wrong. The kind of people that when they're stressed can't sleep, and the kind of people that when they're super stressed can sleep. And what I mean by that is, the more stressed I am,
no, you're out.
The more I want to sleep.
Yeah, you're gone. I can't. I'm the opposite guy.
Really?
Yeah, when I'm, stressed or going through something or whatever, no, I don't sleep. I can't.
It's like my body just wants to shut down and go to sleep, like in a protective hibernation.
Mm-hmm.
Which, I mean, sleep is good for you. So maybe I'm just more evolved than you are.
Nah, I don't prescribe to that theory.
Do you think that would correlate with a fight or flight mechanism, the same way that my mechanism of cognitive response to being frightened is to collapse to the ground and scream in terror? Do you think
probably.
It's the same? It lines up.
Yeah, it probably does to some degree.
Yeah, because Lexi's like that. She's stressed about something. She can't sleep at all.
No,
she'll go
like
days without sleeping.
Through a relationship breakup or something like that. The first month, whatever it is, don't even plan on me sleeping, type thing.
Man,
it's tough to sleep.
Now I do get that, but like, I feel lucky then, because like that's what my body wants to do, is just go to sleep. She would always be like, I don't understand how you can just sleep.
No, I don't get it either, but
Yeah.
good for you, I guess.
You don't think so?
Well,
That it's good to be able to sleep when you're stressed?
no, I mean, yeah, I could see it's having its benefit for sure.
I mean, there's got to be a lot of people that
I mean,
are
trust
like
me,
that.
I want to sleep, during those moments. I want to sleep. I need to sleep.
Yeah.
Sleep's pretty critical.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure it's not unique to me. I'm sure there's a lot of people that
No.
sleep when
Yeah.
they're stressed or can
For
sleep
sure.
when they're stressed, just shut down.
Yeah, just not my perspective.
Yeah. I can't imagine the other way. Being stressed and just not being able to sleep. Mm-hmm. That don't sound fun at all.
It's weird. I know Tim's been having a hard time sleeping lately, obviously. Just in those moments of crisis or whatever,
I cannot
we
even
all react
imagine.
differently.
It's like you made the comparison before. It's like in a way a breakup, but a breakup with this finality and there's no more questions.
Right.
But like we've all experienced it. You go through like a breakup where your heart's broken, and then like you do wake up from sleeping, and for that moment, that foggy moment where you don't remember what's happened, right? You've had the experience where you're waking up from a dream and you don't realize, oh, how shitty life is for that few seconds.
Yeah, it's a very brief few seconds, but yeah.
Yeah, but it's there, right? It's like with him, that idea of, I'd be interested, has he woken up in these times in that moment and been like, oh shit,
No, for sure. I can almost guarantee yes. I mean, I don't want to speak for him, but
like
for sure.
I mean, it sounds horrible to say, or tragic to say, but the idea that you come out of your REM sleep and you're moving through alpha and your cognitive response is that, your wife's laying there next to you, and then you wake up and they're not there.
Yep.
That's gotta suck.
Oh, yeah.
So he's having a hard time?
Yeah.
As
as obvious reasons, for sure. But, he's hanging in there, of course, and sometimes hard to get it. It seems a little difficult to get him to fully engage, but I completely understand how and why that is.
Oh, yeah.
But,
How's his daughter doing?
I asked him, and he says she seems to be hanging in there. It's
hard to know.
It is, yeah.
The 12-year-old girl.
Yeah, you never know. Kid's resilient, but
yeah.
I'd like to go sit and talk to him, and just talk to him a little bit more. I don't know.
I mean, not to sound disrespectful in any way, shape, or form, but like when he's ready, it might help him to speak, and talk.
Oh, it will.
On
I mean,
mic.
we know how therapeutic that is. And I did ask him, I think last night or the night before, we were talking via text. And I let him know. I says, hey, I know it's fresh and it's soon, and, there's no time limit on this, but, I find it to be very therapeutic, and I think, you may as well. But if you want to, you're always welcome to come and share your story and perspective and, get it out to the universe, just audibly.
Right.
And he said, yeah. He's like, no, I could totally see that helping and working, and, I might need a little bit of time, and it's, of course, obvious, no problem. So
They say that on a small scale, because when we talk on the podcast here, we've got a set of headphones on, so you hear your own voice like others hear it through your headphones. Right. And they say that there is something cathartic about that. There's something that when you hear your own voice being played back to you, it has more of an impact, especially if you're doing, work on yourself, positive affirmations and stuff like that.
I can see that.
Yeah.
Just because it's not the norm in a way, you don't walk around talking this way to yourself, and
No.
it almost forces an attention to it.
So think about the simplicity of that, just having a headphone on and a mic and you hear your own voice. Mm-hmm. They've developed a kind of a VR therapy where what they do is they create an environment, and they basically, I can't remember what they call it, but they basically map your face to a character in a therapy session. But you play both the therapist and the thing. So
Oh, really?
you ask a question as the therapist, and you're
Right.
seeing yourself across the room.
Right.
And you say, blah, 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 right? How do you feel about that? The perspective changes. Now you're in you, and you hear, it's not your voice, but you
Right.
hear
Them
your
asking.
question.
Yeah.
And then you respond.
That's
and then
cool.
it flips back over, and they say it has huge
I could see that.
data that shows how healing it is.
Yeah, I could see that.
Because as the therapist, you hear your voice answering the question. So I get how
That goes back to that talking to yourself in the car again or whatever and answering
Yeah.
your own questions. I think there's
Yeah.
something kind of helpful
it's
about
something
it.
the brain does.
Yeah.
It's like a coping
Yeah,
mechanism or whatever. But man, I would love to try that.
absolutely. I'm down too.
Yeah, I would think it was a Radio Lab I was listening to that had that on, but I was like, whoa, how
That would be amazing.
what an interesting experience.
Yeah.
Because really, I mean, especially when it's just you. It's you doing it. It's you running the program. So it's not like anyone's listening. You can be totally honest with yourself. Or
Right.
try to be totally honest with yourself.
Yep.
That's the biggest problem.
Honest with yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the biggest problem out there.
Yep.
It's how
And
we just lie to ourselves. What'd you say?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Thanks.
No, that's what I said. Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree. I mean, for me, at least, in my perspective of things.
Yeah. It's hard to be honest with yourself sometimes.
It is. It's really hard.
Anyway, not to jump back and forth, but having Tim on, I think, would be really intriguing in the future.
Yeah.
To have him come on and obviously to hear that story would be, not in a morbid curiosity kind of way, but
No.
but to hear and experience what it would, what he went through.
Well, not a lot of people, well, at least not a lot of people we know within our sphere are ever going to experience what he's experienced.
No.
At that age,
No,
especially.
I know.
And with a daughter that age and so on. I mean, it's out there, but
I know.
it's not very commonplace, I hope. So
Yeah.
it's a very unique perspective and story that
Yeah.
would be awesome.
Yeah, it would be really awesome, and I would hope it could do good for him. It could help him.
I can almost guarantee it would and will.
Is he taking any time off work, or is he back at work and stuff?
No, he's, distraction's good. It helps, of course, in these kinds of crises. And so he's back at work recently, and, it's been helping him get through the day to keep his mind busy and so on.
What
But
does he do?
he, I haven't gotten that far into it, but he's a partner in I believe a vending machine,
Oh,
have contracts with high schools and so on. And,
Oh, really?
all these places to stock vending machines and supply the vending machines and so on.
oh, cool.
And they just built a new building just down the road from our shop, actually, from my understanding.
Up here?
Yeah, the brand new one right there.
Oh,
Just past Antelope on Fort Lane,
oh.
right there by the Public Works Department.
No way.
Yeah,
That's their whole building?
yeah. As far as my understanding goes, yeah. Mm-hmm. That's their new
No
building.
way.
Yeah,
And Tim's a partner in that?
I believe so. Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Good for him.
Yep.
Can I get a job?
No shit, right. I mean, I don't want to get. Hopefully, his bosses aren't listening. But back in the day when he was just a driver, and I mean, I'm talking
Forever ago.
forever ago, 20. No, maybe not that long, but at least 15 years ago or so.
Yeah.
He used to just drive, he used to be a driver and go fill him up and so on and
Right.
so forth. And he'd swing by work every once in a while. Here, throw out a candy bar or whatever.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
was cool. Good
Yeah, that'd
times.
be little perks.
Tim and I go way back.
That'd be an interesting. I don't know why, but I'm fascinated by that story of, vending machines.
I bet he's probably got some interaction
I
with
bet so too.
with
I bet
students
so
and
too.
stuff at high school, or bitching and moaning that their candy bar got stuck or something stupid.
Yeah, Yeah. Oh, I know that. I mean, those machines can be really lucrative, very lucrative.
Oh, I'm sure.
I think it's a pretty good business model.
I remember one time at Layton when I was, I think I was a senior, and they just got a Code Red machine in, I believe it was.
Oh yeah.
And where all the buttons are Code Red, it's the only thing in the machine.
Right. Mountain Dew.
They messed up when they programmed it, and they were 10 cents.
Are you serious?
Yeah, that line was forever long. I was in the, tell the teacher,
For how-
can I
how
gotta run to the
long?
bathroom real quick? Yeah, okay. And I'm out there just
How long was
Oh,
it?
it didn't take him too long. It was an hour or two later. It seemed like it was shut down or
Really?
reprogrammed, but for a minute.
That's crazy.
For a minute.
That made me think of I was at Maverick this morning, and there was someone swapping out, had the red box open up and was swapping out the images that are backlit, and was in some admin mode on the kiosk, and it was some young girl, and she's all dressed all real funky. She had bright like knee-high socks on, and this bright shirt and headband, just kind of bopping around doing it. And I'm like, that's her job. She goes around to all these.
It's just like an Uber driver.
Right.
You get your territory on certain machines, I think.
Yeah, I think you're right. How long we done?
1 hour, 11 minutes, and 58 seconds.
Well, sounds long enough to me.
Cool.
What do you think?
Yep.
Awesome. All right.
Enjoy.
Enjoy.